Hi there, I'm Tim, also known as Arsenal and Mr. Tim on SoundCloud, and I just wanted to share with you a few of the things that I've been talking about on the collaboration forum. Specifically, some folks had asked about the Sidechained Reverb, and also with the recent track that I did for the collaboration challenge, I did everything using only simpler and using kind of a form of subtractive synthesis using simpler. And I think it's a pretty cool technique, and I'd like to share it with you. So I had a blast. Maybe you can too. So we're going to start by having a quick look at the sidechained reverb that I talked about. The idea behind the sidechained reverb is to allow the audio content to come through and then kind of have a reverb tail sort of bloom, kind of expand from without it, but without causing a lot of muddiness within the original signal. So to demonstrate this, let's just do kind of a quick little synthy, clicky, bleepy deal. And I always like having a little 4 to the floor kick while I'm working. So I'm going to drop a drum rack in here as well. And we'll just drop any old sounds, drum hits, kicks. Something simple like this sounds just fine for what we're doing. And we'll just pop down a 4 to the floor. And great. Okay, so that's just for getting something going once we've helping me out, I guess, with the sound design part. So I'm just going to do some relatively simple little clicky guys here and start shaping this a little bit. Okay. And something about like that sounds kind of cool, I think. So we're going to add a little bit of this guy in here. It's a really short sound, so it's not really having a lot of obvious effect. Well, so maybe add some of that. Okay, so we have this small little clicky noise here. Let's get it adjusted a little bit so it's not as silly. Okay, so from here, it's kind of a boring sound, so let's spruce it up a little bit with some of that reverb stuff we were talking about. We're going to go to audio effects, and we're just going to drop a fat reverb right on the end to start with. And we're going to set it to full wet. What we're going to end up doing is putting this reverb into its own group so that we can kind of have a separate dry and wet channel. So we're just going to right click and go to group. Of course, a much faster way to do that is to click Command G. So from here out, I will be doing that when I'm grouping devices. When you're in the grouped view, you can click this guy here to see all the different chains in your device group. And we're going to add another one. And this will represent the dry chain. So we're just going to rename this to dry. And the reason we're separating that is because what we're going to do for this reverb so that it gets out of the way is we're going to do a little sidechain compression next. So we'll take this compressor and drop it at the end of the reverb. And we're going to bring down the sidechain deal and turn sidechaining on. And we're set audio to be input for the sidechain from this channel, and then using the dry channel instead of the, right now it's called chain, that's this route right here, which is the reverb. Well, we're just going to send it to the dry channel for the sidechain. And so now when we bring this guy down, we're getting the reverb out of the way. You can see the gain reduction kicking in whenever that sound kicks in. So as an example, let's go ahead and bring this out. Whenever the dry sound plays, the reverb gets out of the way, which is great because it keeps things from getting muddied up. And what we can do now is set this decay time to just ridiculous amounts that don't normally make sense in this type of a situation. So turning the compressor off again. It sounds kind of cool, but like it sounds really muddy. It's not clear. So when we turn the side chaining back on, it has a lot more impact. Now, an important control to consider when we're working with this is this release time. This is going to dictate how long it takes for that blooming effect to kick back in, where you can start to hear the reverb tail. So at a really low release time, you can see it, the gain reduction gets it happens very quickly and gets reset to normal very quickly as well. So the reverb channel gets back in there almost immediately. If we set this release to really high value, so for a dramatic effect, let's say 2 seconds, you can watch the gain reduction meter come down and then very slowly go back up. So somewhere in between, obviously, is what's probably going to be preferred. So you're going to want to set the release to somewhere where it sounds nice. See how you kind of get that sound, and then also kind of like this blooming whoosh of the reverb. I think that's a pretty cool effect. And then when we put it into context, and it's kind of cool because like it's there but in a subtle way, and then when we stop this clip it just kind of explodes, which makes for a really cool just atmospheric sound. And then of course you'd want to set your release time to something that makes sense for that, so let's put it a little bit higher. And then stop it. Give it some time to kind of really flush out. And of course, you know, your standard reverb settings and everything else are going to help make that sound, you know, really nice. It also gets kind of cool when you start adding in some more melodic stuff. So let's just make this little deal a little bit longer. And then let's change some notes here. Something like this, and then when we stop this, we get this really rich reverb tail because it includes the reverb from all of those notes. Now, of course, if you have some notes in there that do not sound well together, like that are dissonant, so let's just throw some junk in here real quick. This is probably going to sound kind of messy. Yeah, and that would be what you'd expect with any reverb. So you might want to consider, you know, making sure your notes are all diatonic or intended at least to be played somewhat together, sound nice as a chord. And if they're not, you might want to just bring this reverb tail decay time down a little bit. So that is Sidechained Reverb. Another quick note is that Sidechained Reverb can sound kind of cool on vocals. Now, I am not anything even close to a singer, but to kind of give you an example, let's just bring this guy over here. You know, this is all just a device that's for the most part contained within itself. So once you've created it, you can save it into your user folder. you would just need to change the source that's being sidechained from. And actually, it looks like putting it in here, it kind of already chose intelligently what it needed to. So I just dropped it on my audio channel, my microphone. And you can hear what it does to my voice. It gets out of the way when I'm talking, but then gives a really dramatic reverb wash at the end. Let's turn the decay time a little bit down a little bit. Maybe not that much far down. And the release, bring it down. Okay. So imagine I were an excellent singer and I could sing some songs for you without the need for auto-tune. Kind of, is cool because it gets the reverb out of the way and allows the voice to come through. It also works great for delay. So here's some delay in here. We'll give lots of feedback, which would normally be something that's really bad because it would just overtake the entire mix of the audio channel. But because we've got it set up with this sidechain here, it gets out of the way whenever I'm actually speaking. Without this right now would sound like this, and it just sounds kind of crazy. So to add clarity, just sidechain it from itself.